provided about 50 million doses of vaccines to Brazil and Indonesia, and about 20 million doses to Turkey, which accounts to 20% of their population. But that is not enough, as their virus is still spreading. We need to expand our supply, which is a really big challenge.
所以我们不仅是给这些合作国家，包括智利，还包括很多南美的国家，有小国，你比如多美尼加这些小国。
And we don't only provide to the countries we partner with, but other countries including Chile and the Dominican Republic, as well as those in Africa and Asia. But it's still not enough. We are now licensing those countries for manufacturing.
把产品提供给这些国家合作生产。
We have licensed the vaccine to 5 countries, Turkey, Indonesia, Brazil, Malaysia and Egypt, to produce vaccines in their countries.
What's the latest findings or intelligence that you have on how CoronaVac works against the various variants, particularly the quite insidious one from South Africa and this newly emergent variant in India?
If we use those mutated viruses to produce new vaccines, the time span could be shortened tremendously, which means we could enable mass production with new variants in 2 months. Once we discovered variants and use them to make inactivated vaccines, we can provide these shots to countries where those variants are circulating widely. The bigger challenge now is to communicate with those countries about the monitoring and the research results, and to have the government's approval for a new vaccine produced based on the variants. So far, we haven't got approval yet, and we are still working.
Sinovac Chairman and CEO Yin Weidong speaking with Bloomberg's Asia Managing Editor Emma Brown. Check of the latest business flash headlines. A key Chinese supplier to the solar industry is hiring a global auditor to assess its operations amid allegations over the use of forced labor in Xinjiang. New York-listed Dow New Energy told Bloomberg it's shortlisted 3 auditing firms to vet its operations as it works to get ahead of U.S. sanctions that it expects to be extended to Chinese solar panel producers. Dow denies that it's involved in human rights abuses. HSBC is losing senior traders in New York amid global restructuring and a pivot to Asia. Bloomberg learned that at least 10 traders are leaving the credit desk, including Latin America credit trading head Omar Takriti and America's equities head Tom O'Leary, following the recent exits of other senior staff as well. HSBC expects to reduce its workforce by 35,000 people. Zoom meetings may never go away, but visits to faraway clients are staging a comeback. JP Morgan's co-head of global investment already sees 30 to 40 investment bankers traveling daily in a sign that Wall Street norms are resuming. While trips are fewer than before the pandemic, numbers are climbing, and CEO Jamie Dimon lamented business lost by not visiting clients when competitors did. Cathie Wood's flagship ETF ARK Innovation extended declines and its assets dropped below $20 billion to the lowest since January. The product has fallen for 9 of the past 10 sessions as it was caught in the broad tech sell-off, with some of its top holdings, including Tesla, down on Tuesday. Investors have pulled more than $500 million from ARK Investment Management's main fund so far this month.
All right, Sherry, let's take a look at the markets, of course, as we continue here in Australia to digest the bumper budget, the big spending budget that was announced last night. We are seeing futures pointed lower by about 0.6%. Sydney stocks still really trading at these record highs. New Zealand also looking pretty lackluster as well going into that Wednesday session. S&P futures down by 0.1%, looking like we'll see an extension of the weakness overnight as these inflation concerns continue to plague market sentiment. Nasdaq futures are also a little bit lower. Well, coming up next, investors remain on edge over that inflation uncertainty. TD's Priya Misra tells us how far yields could rise from here. This is Bloomberg.
Any spikes that we see in inflation are likely to be temporary.
The highest inflation numbers are just ahead of us. I do think, though, that ultimately it's going to be more temporary.
That inflation is likely to go higher for a period of time, but there are also good reasons to think that those factors are likely to be transitory.
It's not transitory. When I call inflation, that is the valuation of currencies.
We've talked in terms of short-term rates isn't going to happen until the economy already has some plans. The big gap between where they are starting and where they need to be keeps the economy from overheating.
Major names are weighing on big debate over inflation prospects. Let's get some morning calls now ahead of the Asia trading day this Wednesday. We're focusing on the labour component of the inflation conversation. Hearing from Invesco, they're saying that it's unlikely that we'll see a dramatic prolonged rise in wage inflation, even if there is a labour shortage in the US. They're noting that the current scarcity of available labour in some regions and industries may be due to health concerns, childcare challenges, and even public transportation schedules. That shortage should be short-lived, and while wages will rise along with the economic acceleration, I should say, Invesco saying that it shouldn't be anything dramatic, Sherry.
Actually, we have a similar call coming from UBS as well when it comes to U.S. payrolls figures. The bank saying that's a reflection of, as you said, labor shortages in a strong economy. While some volatility is expected in the coming months, UBS notes that staying invested with a diversified approach is preferable to a selling in May strategy. So don't sell in May is basically the outlook, a bullish one. They see the greatest upside for value and cyclical parts of the stock market, including financials and energy, as the global recovery broadens. Right, let's now get to the first war news with Bonnie Quinn. Bonnie.
Sherry, thank you. U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm told a White House briefing that Colonial Pipeline expects to make a decision Wednesday on a full restart. The company says it's making progress on returning its system to service. Granholm, however, says gas supplies will still be stretched in the short term.
I've had several conversations with the CEO of Colonial, and who has indicated that by closing business tomorrow, Colonial will be in a position to make the full restart
send diesel to East Coast ports. Brazil's health regulator has recommended